So the Galaxy S23, I really feel like this phone is going to be very overlooked in 2023. There's a lot of people talking about the Galaxy S23 Ultra. They're talking about the latest high-end flagships, but this phone right here is just not really getting a lot of attention. And I think that's a shame because there's a lot of people like me who love smaller phones. And that's where this S23 comes in. So you might be wondering how good it is and if it's worth buying. Well, I'm gonna let you know in this review. So with all that being said, let's get right into it and let's talk about the Samsung Galaxy S23. So I've had the S23 now for almost a month. It's been quite a while, and I've been doing a lot of testing on this device. And if I were to say one thing about this phone, I would say that it's small, it's powerful, and it's boring. Well, technically that's three things, but the point is, this phone does feel a little bit boring when you're looking at the Samsung Galaxy Folds of the world. It's not the most impressive as far as a unique design. In fact, it just looks a little bland in my opinion if you look at the design. And there's nothing super crazy about this phone that makes it super special. It's got the latest high-end processor, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. That's great. It's got a lot of good specs in it, but overall, if you look at it, the design, in my opinion, again, it just looks boring, but functional. And realistically, that's how a lot of us should live, and we don't. We should be looking for devices that get the job done without having to spend $1,200 or more on a device. And I will say it's small. This device is really small. It's a 6.1-inch smartphone, which is very rare nowadays to get the latest flagship processor in a smaller device like this. And this is also very powerful, of course, because it does have the same processor as the Galaxy S23 Ultra. So it's a great device overall, but it's not the flashiest, it's not the fanciest, but it's a terrific phone for those of you who want a smaller, more compact phone, but you also want a lot of great specs with it. In fact, when I look at the phone scene right now in the US, I can't really think of much of anything that has a 6.1-inch screen or lower with these types of specs. There's just not a lot of options if you're looking for a smaller phone, and this is going to be one of the best options for those of you who want something smaller, compact, but also something that's very, very powerful. Now, if you look at the design, again, a little bit boring in some ways. You have a speaker here, you have a speaker up here on the top of the screen, and it's going to sound very, very good. It's not going to be the loudest compared to some other high-end phones, but it's a smaller body, so naturally it's going to have smaller speakers, but it's still actually louder compared to a lot of other phones. But you don't get a micro SD card slot, you're not getting a headphone jack, you're not getting much of anything, but you will get the nice fingerprint sensor. You will get that ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, the same type of sensor you get in the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Now there's other things, by the way, that this phone does compromise on. The charging speeds are a little bit low, so the highest charging speeds, well, it's 25 watts. It's not super fast charging. It's not 45 watts like some other devices that are out there, but it does still charge pretty fast. The screen is another thing. The screen looks good. Again, it's not going to be a quad HD screen. It's not going to be as good as the Galaxy S23 Ultra, but for someone like me, I'm not really going to notice because it's an AMOLED screen with 120 Hz. It has a 2340 by 1080 resolution, and the screen does look very, very good. The colors are terrific because, of course, it's AMOLED, and this screen has the same brightness level, by the way, as the Galaxy S23 Ultra. It gets extremely bright. Again, it's fast whenever I'm using this device day to day. It, by the way, also does have Samsung DeX, so if you want to get very productive, you could plug this into a monitor. Technically, you could go wireless with Samsung DeX. Depending on the situation, you could do that. But look, it's not going to be very good, in my opinion, to go wireless. It's always going to be faster with less input lag to plug in. And this does have Samsung DeX on it, which will help you be more productive. So there's a lot of great stuff, especially, in my opinion, for those of you out there who want a fast phone. You might just be a simple person who says, I want a fast phone, lightning fast. This phone is lightning fast. It will fly through everything, even if you get the lower end model, the 8 gigabytes of RAM. Technically, the storage, by the way, is a little bit slower in the very base model, but you're not going to notice any big hiccups as far as performance. Like, this is going to fly through everything that you do. It's going to fly through every task, even games, like if you're playing a game and you're playing it on a very high setting, this is going to do a terrific job with games. Now, I'm not a Genshin Impact player, I just play some casual stuff, but this does still fly through everything that I do without a lot of hiccups. So high refresh rate, gorgeous looking screen with great colors, great performance. It's not the best charging speeds, but it still does okay and it charges up decently fast. It's got an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. And the one thing for me, if I'm comparing this to the Galaxy S22, I did review that phone. I gave it a negative review because of battery life. I'm happy to say that this is much improved on the battery life spectrum compared to the Galaxy S22. Again, I grilled that phone because I'm a very honest reviewer. I gotta keep it real. And the Galaxy S22 was an amazing phone, an amazing small compact phone with bad battery life. This phone, because of the more efficient processor, it does really make up that ground on the Galaxy S22. And also the battery size, it's a little bit bigger. It's a 3900 milliamp battery. It doesn't seem super big, but again, when you put a nice processor in it that's a lot more efficient, that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, it does a terrific job, and that makes this a phone that really has crazy battery life, for me at least. I was getting sometimes 6, sometimes 7, sometimes even 8 hours of screen on time, and that's compared to like 4 hours if you're looking at the Galaxy S22. Sometimes I would get 3.5 hours of screen on time with that phone. So this phone is much better as far as the battery life. I absolutely love it for that purpose. So if you're looking at this phone and you've heard all the specs, it's not the best spec'd phone compared to the $1,200 phones on the market, but it's super close, right? Like this phone has a terrific screen. It's not Quad HD, but it's pretty close. It has terrific performance, but you're not going to get a high RAM count compared to something like the Galaxy S23 Ultra. So there are smaller sacrifices, right, that this phone does have. It doesn't have the fastest charging, but the charging is still pretty good. So if you get everything, the point is this is going to be a super fast, super good phone in a compact form factor with very good battery life. Maybe not the best on Android like the Galaxy S23 Ultra. That phone has amazing battery life, but this is still going to be terrific. So this phone, in a lot of ways, it's boring. It's not the flashiest. It's not the best phone that's out there. And if you're looking for that, look for something like the Google Pixel 7 Pro, which I know it's not the flashiest in its own right. It's still not the highest spec phone, but it still has some flashy things on it in Google's own way. Or the S23 Ultra, these phones, these flagship phones are flashy in so many ways. And this phone, it feels very boring. It's the same type of design with the Galaxy S23 Ultra. It's really the same type of design from the Galaxy S22. They just took that little bar off, right, from the Galaxy S21 as well. Like, there's no real differences or significant differences in the design. It feels very boring to me when I'm using this. So a lot of higher end tech YouTubers, if they're looking at this phone, they're probably going to be really bored with it. But they're not really looking at it, or not all of them will look at it from the perspective of a normal consumer. A lot of you just want a small compact phone, and you want one with decent cameras or very good cameras. And the cameras on this, they're very, very impressive. Now, don't expect a huge upgrade or something from the Galaxy S22 cameras. They didn't really do much to touch the cameras, so you're going to get a similar experience. And the cameras are good. They are very good. In fact, I use the Galaxy S22 technically for a lot of my close-up footage that you see on my channel. So I do use the S22 video because the video quality with 4K is very good. The pictures are very good, and that's going to be the same for this device. So I do get really good pictures. However, I will say there is a little bit of shutter lag. So if you do have kids that move around a ton, you are going to have to get them a little bit still if you are going to get a good picture. There are some ways to change that in the settings. If you do get something like the Good Lock app, there are ways to speed that shutter lag up, but it can actually affect the camera quality or the quality of the pictures just a little bit. So if I'm going to give this phone an overall rating, right, I'm going to say, well, it's 10 out of 10 for those of you who want a small phone, because what other small phones are going to be out there in the US? You have the Asus Zenfone, and that doesn't even work with all carriers. You can't really get that to work with every carrier in the US anyway. So yes, the Zenfone is great, but the Zenfone does not have wireless charging, for example. There are some drawbacks to that Zenfone. This phone is also water resistant. It has an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. It has a very good build, like very, very good build quality on this device. It is very fast. It has terrific battery life. So what is the downside to a phone like this? Well, it's just a little boring and it's a little small for some of you. So if you want a larger phone, check out the Galaxy S23 Ultra. That phone will be the phone for a lot of you. It's going to be the best phone, in my opinion, in all of 2023, except, well, on the Android side, maybe the Google Pixel 8 Pro is going to be better. I'm excited for that phone. Or maybe these foldable phones will excite us a little bit, right? So yes, those phones are going to be the best of the best. And this phone will be a small step down from those. It retails around $800. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of sales on it though. So is it worth buying? I would say absolutely. This is worth buying. Now, if you want better specs for the money, hey, you could get the Google Pixel 7. That phone retails, yes, I know it retails for a little bit more, right? You're going to have to spend $600 to get that retail price, but that phone has been going on sale down to even like $400. It's a little bit bigger at 6.3 inches, but you'll get similar performance. You will get a little bit of worse battery life on the Pixel 7, but you'll still get similar camera performance as well. So yes, that phone's a little bit of a better value, but some of you don't want a 6.3-inch phone. You don't want a 6.5-inch phone. You want a 6.1-inch phone or lower. You want something very compact. And for that, I would say this is going to be one of the best phones you could buy. There's no question about it. I would highly recommend it, but I will say it's probably not the best value if you just want specs. It's not the best value in the world, but still, even for $800, I don't think you're going to find much of a better phone that is this size or smaller. So check out the Galaxy S23. I do have links in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those questions down there as well. And if you want to check out some more videos, by the way, I review a ton of Samsung devices, a lot of Samsung tablets. I also review a lot of devices on the market, so feel free to check out my other videos. Give me a like and a sub. That does help to support my channel, and also, again, those links in the description, that does help to support my channel as well. So have a great day, enjoy your week, and yeah, check out the S23 if you get a little bit of time.